Hi there, my name is Jukwa'luk, and on behalf of Music Royale, welcome to this virtual concert featuring Mi'kmaw singer Michael R. Denny, part of our 35th Summer Festival. And Michael is from Eskasoni First Nation on Cape Breton Island. And I was so thrilled when Michael agreed to be featured this summer. He honestly blew me away when we recorded his concert that you're going to hear tonight. He possesses an incredible vocal talent that is just so rare to come by. And not only that, but he has such a rich knowledge of the history of these songs and the culture and what these songs represent. And we learned a lot about that throughout the program. Music Royale throughout the summer presents concerts in historic venues across Nova Scotia, and we like to feature early music, but you're also going to hear other things throughout our festival. And I can't think of a more fitting artist than Michael to be featured at Government House. Government House is a ceremonial home for Nova Scotia and for all Nova Scotians. The Mi'kmaw people were the first to have lived here, and they inhabited and took care of this land for thousands and thousands of years. The same land that we get to share and enjoy today. And Michael is going to share with us some of the oldest Mi'kmaw songs that have survived until today. And these songs are hundreds of years old. And then he's going to take us all the way up into present day powwow music. And those are songs that he's actually written himself. I'm so thrilled to celebrate the Mi'kmaw music and the Mi'kmaw culture through this concert this evening. And I hope you enjoy.
Walda si gishka jish me giskutas Mi'kmaw tabigian ulnoel tabigian saaqwel ulnoel tabigian el teman giskuga gas melamugul tabigian gojual Mi'kmaw mawiyomil tabigian giskuk. Welcome everybody. I'm glad to be here to share a little bit about the knowledge that I know of traditional Mi'kmaw songs, songs that have survived through the ages, but also songs that are more contemporary and that have such importance in our communities today with Mi'kmaw powwows. So join me in this musical journey. This Mi'kmaw musical journey, and this first song I'm going to sing, we call it. Some people call it a welcome song. I called it a Neskawet song. Neskawet, and back in the olden days when our Grand Council would get together, there was a place in Bodladek in Chapel Island, Minigu, an island there. The Grand Council would get together, and they would have this wigwam there. It's a wigwam, a huge wigwam, where the Grand Chief would reside. So they called it a Wigwam. So in this wigwam, after the Grand Council will have a meeting, the Bodus and the Grand Council. The Bodus is kind of like the historian, and he would go out and he would sing this song. And as he was singing the song, he'd come out and he'd be doing his dance. He'd be doing his Neskawet outside the wigwam. And once he was done his dance, he would call out to the other Geptons and the chiefs that were there inside. He would call them out one at a time. So the chief would come out and he would do his dance. Then the other chiefs from all across our traditional territory, all the chiefs of communities, clans would come on out. And finally, the Grand Chief would come out and he would do his dance. And this is the song that they would sing. si Michael R. Denny, akad ni Nolnu, Mi'kmaw Eskasoni Mi'kmaw Nation, Cape Breton Island. My name is Michael R. Denny, and I'm Mi'kmaw from the community of Eskasoni, what we call today Cape Breton Island, how we call Unamagik. And these songs that I'm singing are going to be kind of a mixture of traditional Mi'kmaw songs and contemporary Mi'kmaw songs, going right and into powwow songs. And these different styles of songs go with different styles of singing, and also be using some different instruments. These first songs are going to be using what we call is our or our drum. The second set of songs I'm going to be singing, I'm going to be using this instrument we call a jigamakan. So I'll talk a little bit more about a jigamakan a little bit later on. But with this musical, this musical journey that we're going on, I just want to let people know that these songs have survived hundreds of years. These first set of songs are the oldest songs that we have today that are still known, and I'm going to try to explain my best to my knowledge what these songs are, what these songs mean, and why we would use those songs. So this next set of songs here, or this next song here, you're going to hear a little part of it was very similar to that first song that I sang. This second song here is what we call it the feast song. Some people call it a treaty song, and what I call it a treaty song, and how we would the reason why we would sing that song. It was a song that was gifted to us by the Gwedech. The Gwedech were our mortal enemies in the past. They're the Mohawk Nation. So we would often war with them, and when eventually we settled with them and we made peace. And they would make these songs to commemorate those wampum that were made, and these songs that went along with that wampum, those treaty songs, so that we remember that peace that we had between our two nations. Guanalia, Guanudaya, hey. Guanalia, Guanude. Guanalia, Guanude. Guanalia, Guanudaya, hey, hey, oh. Ego. Guanalia, Guanude. So those songs, we often refer to them as almost like social songs. They were kind of those couple songs. They also were almost formal songs. You know, our songs are kind of set out in a way that there's ones that were used formally, then there's other songs that were used for social reasons. Those first songs are kind of more really formal songs. Neskawet songs was almost on the verge of ceremonial dancing and ceremonial singing. These next set of songs are going to be social songs, and we call them Gojua, and Gojua is a celebration dance. It is a competition dance. It is a dance to reconnect with community. It's a dance it's a dance for the community, to bring people together, to celebrate a successful hunt, to celebrate a marriage, to celebrate different things in the community. You know, a feast, a wiggleball thing. And it would time to get together. They would dance Gojua. And it was also a competition dance too. And it was a dance that they would bring different people from different communities, different bands, and they'd send their best dancer up. And the singer would sing the songs, and the last person standing would be the winner. And they would win bragging rights to say that they're the best dancer in the land. So there was a title that they would hold for a year until the next time they would do a gathering at Budlodek. They would dance this Gojua again. So I'll sing the first three songs is what we call Jukwa'luk Songs, which are usually the first songs to be sung at the Gojua. Jukwa'luk means to bring them. So it's kind of an invitational dance. So you'd sing that song first to let the people know to bring all your family to go out and dance into the dance area. So I'll sing three Jukwa'luk songs. Jukwa'luk juona jukwa'luk jukwa'luk juona jukwa'luk jukwa'luk juona Now we call this instrument here. We call it a jigama, and I mentioned it. I mentioned it earlier. It's a Mi'kmaw invention that we've been using at least as long as we've been making splint baskets out of ash wood. This here is made out of Honourable, is what we call it, is white ash, and it's a tree that grows plentiful across Nova Scotia. And what we do is we fill the tree, and we measure out how big our jigama is going to be. We take an axe, we split the wood, and you take a draw knife, and you measure it out, and you make it the way. Once you get a solid piece of wood, you take a hammer or an axe, and you pound it. And when you pound it, it naturally splits. There's really no word in English for this. So we call it a jigama. Sometimes I'll call it a wooden splint rattle. This is the best way I can explain in English, but there is really no English translation for it. Here's one more Jukwa'luk song. Gena, 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 Jukwa'luk, gegamawa Jukwa'luk, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena. Ha Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena, ha iena. Ha Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa Jukwa'luk, ha mawa da ho. And we say at the end of our songs, we say, da ho! That means that's it, that's the end of it. So when people are out there dancing, they're giving their all, they hear the singer say, da ho! That's your cue to stop. Sometimes you might hear it, and some people will say, da ho! At the end of something. Sometimes they'll say at the end of a prayer or something like that. But usually it just signals to say that that's the end. Now, social songs, have, throughout the years have changed. And as culture, culture for anybody really, it's always continuously changing. It changes with the times. It changes with your environment. It changes where you're living, where you're, what part of the land you are on, and different territories. And these songs that I'm sharing, especially these last three songs here, come from Nova Scotia. They come from this traditional area here. The first two songs come from the Cape Breton area, probably in about I'm gonna say it about the 1930s and 1940s. Those songs are quite popular. The last song I sang comes from the Sebeganegadik district, which is actually in this area here in Halifax. That song comes from this area here, and it was recorded in the 1940s. So these songs that I'm singing here are not new songs. These set of songs here, these next set of songs are not new songs. They are traditional songs. And traditional songs that we use again for Gojua and for times when we get together for social. Now, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I know lots of songs. Depends on what song comes first. So these next set of songs I'm going to sing are Gojua songs that would be sung at our Mawiomi, our midwinter gatherings, anytime we have celebrations. And those Gojua songs are only, they're not longer than 30, 40, 50 seconds long. Because the dance wasn't, the dances weren't very long. So they're quite short songs. So here we go. Geduge, naduga, geduge, naduga, geduge. Now those songs we would call for social time, and they were, oftentimes they were just to get people out there dancing. Gojua it's kind of been one of the very few dances that has survived throughout the years during the hard times of our people, and it was one of those dances that that was kind of almost was hidden in plain sight. We took up Mi'kmaw people took up the fiddle, and the fiddle played a huge part, and even in our traditional songs, where a lot of people like Lee Cremo would take a fiddle and they would sing traditional chants, traditional Mi'kmaw songs on the fiddle, and he would often explain, that the fiddle has, a Gaelic tongue, an Irish tongue, or a Scottish tongue, an Irish tongue, and a French tongue. But he also said it also has a Mi'kmaw tongue, and he would sing those Gojua songs on the fiddle, and he would incorporate those songs, and he was quite the musician. And a lot of these songs that I'm singing, he sang those songs, and he brought those songs back to life. and in a time where we weren't too sure if we were still allowed to be able to sing those songs. So the fiddle also played a big part in our Mi'kmaw culture, and I guess in the saving of these songs. So these songs here I just sang there, probably they go back to about the 1950s, and these songs were a big part of our winter carnivals, our gatherings and stuff. So as Mi'kmaw culture has kind of been evolving and changing, and in the 1950s, 60s, and starting in the 1970s, there was a big cultural revival. A lot of our people started to explore. They started to explore this great country of ours, and going into the United States as well, and seeing what they were doing in other communities, other nations. And a couple people went to Alberta, and they attended a couple powwows, and people were starting to, wondering why you didn't see as much cultural gatherings back home. So in Nova Scotia or Cape Breton or New Brunswick or PEI, and they didn't quite see too much of this cultural dancing, singing, being proud of who we are. They weren't seeing too much of that. So these people learned some teachings on the powwow drum, and they brought that drum back to our people. And these people were survivors of the Indian Residential School, and they were the first ones who really, their culture was taken from them, and going out and learning and experiencing other nations' cultures sparked something inside them to want to go out and to learn more about our traditional ways. So they brought the powwow back to us, and the powwow has in this area, especially here in we call Mi'kmaw in the Atlantic area. The powwow has been around since about 1985, so a little over closer to 35 years now that the powwow has been around in this territory, and many people have gravitated towards that culture. Many Mi'kmaw people have, with the effects of residential school and colonialization, this is something that people can easily gravitate towards and to take full on, and to help them with their identity as Unu people, as First Nations people, Indigenous people in our territory. So when we started to do powwows, they first were singing songs that were quite popular in Ontario and out west, and eventually our people started to create our own powwow music, our own Mi'kmaw language powwow music. So this next set of songs, and I'm going to end with these songs here, are Mi'kmaw powwow music. Songs that have been composed by myself and maybe a couple of my friends. And we're going to share that. These songs are sung by my drum group, Stoney Bear Singers. And it's just going to show how contemporary our music has become in a sense of powwow. And this first song that I'm going to sing is a song that I composed with my good friend Greg Marr from the Indian Brook First Nation here. We call it Sacred Ground. And the English, if I can remember, the English translation of this is, well, Sa'awegig, Sa'awegig, Delamuksigig, Mulgiyanalka, Na Makamigo, Na Gebmeg Ukchidulnug, which means the old ones have told us, our ancestors have told us to dance hard, and that the ground that we dance upon is sacred to our people. So that's what this song means. You are, And when we compose powwow songs, we trade songs, we give songs away to different drum groups, and we many of us who are able to speak our language, like myself, we sometimes take that for granted, because there's so many people out there in our powwow country, our powwow world, who are amazing powwow singers, but they don't have that knowledge of singing, or the knowledge of our language. So I often go out and help these different drum groups in the Mi'kmaw language, because it's something I feel that I'm not necessarily obligated to do, but I feel that it's my place to help people with that language. And I'm proud to be able to speak my language, and I'm proud to be able to incorporate my songs and incorporate our language into those songs. So this next song here, it's a crow hop song, is what we call it in the powwow country. The song was composed by me and one of my good friends, Fred Knockwood. So this next song, I don't really think it has a name other than crow hop. So.